So you've got a 4570 and you've got an okay load. It's firing fine for you, but now we want to squeak out as much accuracy as we can. Okay, whether you're shooting smokeless or you're shooting black powder. The first thing I would suggest would be your case overall length. How far is your projectile off the lands? In doing so, I would start by measuring to figure out exactly what your maximum overall length can be. So let's take our projectile, place it in the barrel. I will usually allow gravity to set that down against the lands. And once I'm against the lands, I will then take my case overall length gauge and I will take it in here gently, because you don't want to jam it into the lands. I will take that rod down until it touches the back of the bullet. Zero this off of the back of the breech. Lock it down. Now I have my dimension there. Let's get the projectile out. Okay. Now I will measure and write down each one of these dimensions. The bullet length, my projectile length, okay, which comes out to 1 inch 430 thousandths. Then I'll check my length gauge. I have 1 inch 563 thousandths. I will write those numbers down. I will add those up. And that will give me my touching the lands case overall length. You know, the maximum length I can fit in my chamber. Every chamber is different. Once I've acquired that, what I do then is I measure my cartridge. Okay? Measure my cartridge, get its length. This one measures 2 inches 94 thousandths. I will write that number down and I will subtract those two and find out exactly how much my projectile is sticking out of the cartridge. In this case, this gun is 898 thousandths. I'll write that number down. So I will go 30 thousandths off the lands and I will proceed to go in 10 thousandths increments until I'm probably 40, 50 thousandths off the lands. Not very far. You're going to know real quick. You'll have a load that starts off either mediocre bad and gets better and then proceeds to get worse, or it will just, if you've gone too far, it could just go off the chart as bad, just continue to get bad. Then you would need to drop down and be closer to the lands. But in most cases, in these 4570 cartridges, you do need some jump. So with that, I'll show you some of my data that I collected. Okay, a little more detail would be when you inspect your cast projectiles, make sure that you are verifying the base on your castings. You don't want any nicks on those, any gouges or anything. And secondly, you want to make sure that your grease grooves are 100% filled with lube, no voids in them. When your round is fired out of your gun, there's a bump that happens. It grows, you know, it bumps up. It bumps to a bigger diameter. And if you have any voids in that lube, what happens is it affects the transition of that bump and makes it irregular instead of regular, consistent. That's another key factor that I've seen accuracy issues on through testing, is not enough lube in the lube grooves and the base of your bullet. It's the last point of contact with your rifle, and if you have a big notch out of one side as it's leaving your barrel, that notch might kick it out of its intended trajectory. The next thing is, on your cartridge case, your trimmed length. Not necessarily is the length extremely important. It's good as long as it doesn't grow into the end of the chambering. But making sure that your cartridge is square, perfectly square. An example for that would be like if you were to measure one side of your cartridge versus the other side of your cartridge, you would want that number to be identical. Okay, so with that being said, trimming your cartridge, or truing it is what I'd like to say, squaring that up is important for accuracy, because same thing with this leaving the end of your barrel. As this comes out of your cartridge, if one side or the other is shorter, it leaves contact with that edge quicker than the other side, which could change its angle going into the rifling. Kick it a little bit, and now she's got a little off center in the rifling. Okay, all right. Next thing is, I'm just now starting the load data on marking my cases, so that when I load them into my rifle, I orientate them the exact same every time. That's something new that I'm starting to test, and I'll have to let you all know what I come up with on that in the future. Thanks for watching.